Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel World Conflict Monitor. Please subscribe and like my videos. The growing tensions between Russia and Belarus are once again at the center of global attention. For decades, Alexander Lukashenko has ruled Belarus with an iron grip, relying heavily on Russian political, economic, and military support. Vladimir Putin has often been seen as his most important ally, ensuring that Lukashenko's government remains stable, even through waves of protests and international sanctions. However, recent developments suggest that Putin is now distancing himself from Lukashenko, leaving Belarus politically isolated as the country struggles with unrest, economic breakdown, and mounting internal pressure. When we look at the exterior of this political relationship, it appears like a strong partnership built on shared ideology and strategic needs. Belarus has been Russia's closest neighbor and ally, serving as a buffer state against NATO and the West. On the outside, their relationship looks like an unshakable alliance, where Russia guarantees Belarus's survival and in return gains military access, economic ties, and political loyalty. But as the crisis inside Belarus deepens, cracks are appearing in this once solid exterior. Putin has started sending subtle signals that Russia is no longer willing to bear the cost of supporting Lukashenko unconditionally. The exterior view shows the world a leader in Lukashenko, who is losing his grip, and another leader in Putin, who seems ready to reposition his strategy. When we move into the interior of this unfolding crisis, the situation becomes far more complex. Inside Belarus, protests have grown stronger despite years of repression. Ordinary people are facing economic hardship, political suppression, and a lack of hope for reform. Opposition forces, although silenced, still hold influence in shaping public opinion. The interior perspective reveals Lukashenko as a ruler who has lost much of his domestic legitimacy, relying solely on the security apparatus to maintain power. At the same time, the interior of the Russia-Belarus relationship shows growing mistrust. Russian elites increasingly view Lukashenko as a liability rather than an asset. They fear that his inability to stabilize his country could spill chaos into Russia or provoke stronger Western intervention. This interior struggle makes the relationship far more fragile than it appears on the surface. The people of Belarus are also feeling this shift, recognizing that the once iron support of Russia is weakening, leaving them uncertain about the future. Performance is another angle to analyze this dramatic situation. For years, Lukashenko's performance as a leader was measured by his ability to maintain order, suppress dissent, and keep Belarus tightly aligned with Russia. But that performance is now failing. His governance no longer convinces either his people or his foreign partners. The economy is stagnating, sanctions are increasing, and foreign investments are fleeing. On the other side, Putin's performance as a global strategist has often been evaluated by his ability to keep allies loyal and to expand Russia's sphere of influence. Distancing himself from Lukashenko may be part of a performance to show strength, adaptability, and readiness to cut ties with those who weaken Russia's global image. In this performance, Lukashenko looks like a weakened character struggling on stage while Putin adjusts his role to ensure he does not share the same downfall. If we consider safety features, we can see that Russia and Belarus have traditionally relied on each other for security. Belarus provided Russia with a military buffer zone, while Russia provided Belarus with financial aid, military equipment, and political cover in international forums. But as Putin distances himself, these safety features are disappearing. Belarus risks losing its biggest security guarantee, while Russia risks losing a loyal neighbor on its western border. Safety features that once seemed strong are now under severe strain. Without Russian backing, Lukashenko faces the real threat of political collapse. The Belarusian opposition and protesters see this as an opportunity, while neighboring countries observe cautiously, fearing instability at their borders. For Putin, the safety feature is his ability to step back strategically, avoiding being dragged into Belarus's internal crisis while preparing alternative strategies to protect Russia's influence. Unique selling points of this entire geopolitical drama are equally important. Belarus under Lukashenko offered Russia a unique advantage: geographical access, military cooperation, and a symbolic demonstration of post-Soviet loyalty. But now that selling point is weakening. Lukashenko's inability to modernize his government, to stabilize his people, or to create international legitimacy has turned him from an asset into a burden. For Putin, the unique sell. The point in distancing himself lies in showing that Russia can recalibrate its alliances. It signals to other leaders in the region that loyalty alone is not enough. They must also deliver stability and credibility. This move allows Putin to reshape the narrative, positioning himself as someone who acts out of strategy rather than blind loyalty. If we view this crisis through the metaphor of price, the costs are clear. The price of supporting Lukashenko is growing too high for Russia. Billions in subsidies, discounted energy supplies, political protection, and constant defense against Western sanctions have drained Russian resources. On the other hand, the price of abandoning Lukashenko could be the loss of a loyal ally and the risk of Belarus moving toward the West. Both options are costly, but Putin seems to have calculated that the price of keeping Lukashenko is heavier than the price of letting him struggle alone. For Lukashenko, the price is even higher. Without Russia, his regime may not survive. He is paying the price of years of authoritarian rule, broken promises, and brutal crackdowns that alienated his people and weakened his legitimacy. In conclusion, the image of Lukashenko isolated while Putin distances himself paints a powerful picture of a shifting geopolitical landscape. Belarus, once considered a firm Russian ally, is now burning under the weight of protests, sanctions, and internal weakness. Putin's distancing is not just about Lukashenko, but about Russia's broader strategy in a world where alliances are tested by economic costs, political risks, and long-term sustainability. The world is watching to see if Belarus collapses under its current leadership, or if a new chapter opens in Eastern Europe. For Putin, the choice to distance himself is strategic survival, but for Lukashenko, it could mean the end of his political era. The flames of unrest in Belarus are a reminder that no ruler can remain in power forever without legitimacy, and no alliance can survive if it becomes a burden instead of a strength.